Ms. Freckleton, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
In South America, we're seeing landslides in the Caribbean, hurricanes, drought in other parts of the world, and the pace is not slowing down, it's only increasing. What do you consider the biggest disaster risks at the moment, and what is being done to reduce them and prevent them?
The biggest disaster risks are those that are related to climate, and these are not, withstanding other risks related to biological and technological hazards. We're seeing how disasters really are upending development across many countries. What we are trying to do as an organization is to work with countries to strengthen their strategies, disaster risk reduction strategies, particularly in ensuring that there is integration with climate change adaptation strategies. We know that with effective early warning systems in countries, we can have early action and kind of an end-to-end approach where we are increasing the knowledge and understanding of the risk profiles of countries, how we're going about monitoring and forecasting, getting the right technology to support countries to make relevant predictions and analysis around weather events, and then taking it to the level on the ground where we're reaching and communicating with communities to ensure that they are responding.
As we know, small island nations are on the front line of climate change. What are they experiencing, and how do large countries actually contribute to their challenges?
As a result of these climate-related disasters, we're seeing increase in drought, sea level rise. Climate change is impacting human health and the incidence of vector-borne diseases as well as heat-related diseases. We're seeing increased incidence of heat waves. So these are some of kind of the experiences that small island developing states are having. Approximately 25% of the population in small island developing states are disaster-affected people. SIDS and the data has shown that they are accountable for just about 1% of global greenhouse gases, yet they are the ones that are facing the brunt of climate change.
How can small island nations balance growth and development, and also the loss caused by climate? Can they actually afford to invest in prevention?
It really is indeed a balancing act for these countries. I think there is a kind of multi-pronged approach that would be required for countries, small countries, to be able to balance the development and investing in disaster risk reduction. And I think while it is a difficult policy decision to invest in prevention, the return on investment is actually much greater, because we're seeing that for every $1 invested in resilience and in prevention, there is a $6, return on averted losses. So this is it requires a change in mindset in terms of how we look at the spectrum of disaster risk reduction and where countries invest those resources.
You're from Jamaica. No doubt you have seen and witnessed all the changes over the years. What have you experienced?
Only recently, a few months ago, a cold front on the island totally damaged several of the tourism infrastructure as a result of wave action. The sea pretty much, as we would say in Jamaica, reclaiming sections of the land, and this we're seeing how it's impacting infrastructure in the tourism sector. I've also grown to see, of course, improvements, because as a child, when Hurricane Gilbert hit Jamaica in 1988, we had total shutdown in the country. Critical infrastructure severely impacted, but over time I think the country has invested quite a bit in resilient infrastructure and just building resilience in general.
China and Jamaica have agreed to cooperate when it comes to climate and development. Is that one way of attacking the issue of climate change, larger countries and smaller countries working together?
Yes, that is indeed quite critical, because the focus on not just bilateral but multilateral cooperation is really going to be the crux of what is going to strengthen the resilience of countries. There's so much that countries can learn, peer-to-peer learning, in terms of the policies, the investments and mechanisms that are put in place for disaster risk reduction. And I think, given the experience that China has had over time, and also, sharing technology and capacity in technology, are critical support to countries like Jamaica, being able to share innovative approaches, mechanisms, and cooperation across a wide spectrum.
Ms. Toni-Shae Freckleton, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.